Hi, it's Brad from TransAudio. I'm here today with Alex from Auratone. Alex, you're the owner of this company. You started this. You are running this company now, and you're in Nashville.
Yes, correct. My grandfather is when he found it back in the 1950s in California.
Oh wow! So your dad's the one that built Auratone up into the brand it is.
Correct.
Yeah. So what do I see behind you there? What's all the stuff on the wall? What do you have?
Oh, so we just got some original 5Cs. There's kind of versions over the years. This is from the 80s. This actually one here is from the 1975. This was the original Auratone speaker or 5C right here.
Right.
People kind of associate it
Oh
with
yeah, screw
this one,
terminals. Yeah.
but this is the actual original, and you can see here some other ones on the wall from the back over the days, and here's our new ones now. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I was most impressed with was the fact that it's U.S. made and you had a really good driver in there. Tell us how you found that driver.
Well, a lot of the challenges when we were reviving this and looking how to make sure we're replicating the quality and the sound of the original 5Cs, a lot of the manufacturers, I know, of course, in the Auratone heyday when things through the 70s and 80s, there's a lot more U.S. manufacturing of speakers. And now when I kind of, in the past 5, 10 years, when I was reviving this, it's hard to find any. When I was looking through the old components, old suppliers, it was a big challenge just to find.
A lot of them are gone, right? They
They're
don't
all
exist
gone.
anymore.
So
Yeah.
we did find there are a couple. Did find some components, and that was a big challenge. We were really, we could have probably gotten started quicker by moving overseas, like a lot of people did. But I think to me, it was really important for the history and making sure this was made here in the U.S. and using the speaker cones and everything like that. So it took a little more extra time, but I think it definitely paid off into investing that time to find a good U.S. made speaker.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember the first time that I heard your speaker versus an original Auratone from the 80s or so, the ones that sold the best. And I thought, wow, this sounds almost exactly alike. Maybe yours had a little bit, tad bit more low end, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, if you didn't have them side by side, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
They really worked the same way. And I was sort of shocked at the time because I remember I was putting different mixes through them and couldn't believe at how much it highlighted problems with the mix. Like it was hard to understand that this little speaker made everything so clear to understand, like balance and if the drums were too loud or the vocals weren't loud enough, the guitar was really right. It was a really remarkable little speaker at solving a lot of your problems and mixing for an engineer.
Absolutely. And I think too, a lot of people don't understand, the Auratone's got certain, my grandfathers get frustrated, for instance, with the Horatone or, and in good fun, it's, it has a name, got fame because of some the tags that's gone along with it. But I think the purpose isn't supposed to be necessarily. Some people say, oh, it's supposed to be a bad sounding speaker. Well, no, it's supposed to be a limited frequency response. It's supposed to be a good sounding speaker.
Exactly.
It's very flat in the mid range, just not, bad sounding, just limited. There's a difference. I think a lot of people
Right.
listen, oh, that
Yeah.
sounds bad, or, or supposed to, right? No, it's not really actually the case. And I think he always actually got frustrated at that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and because crossovers and a two-way system introduces some errors into the speaker that are really hard to make go away and actually are hard to hide. So having just a single speaker with no crossover, it has no phase timing issues, it has no errors with the tweeter, it has no, dispersion problems. It solves a lot of issues just having that single speaker.
And I think too, it's a simple design. What's interesting while I was reviving and trying to recreate this, I think there's a lot of obviously with knockoffs and other recreations of the speaker. When I first got started, I think it was like, oh, I listened, I bought, I listened to some of those other recreations that had come out since trying to knock off the 5C, and they didn't sound close at all. And I was like, oh, I got a big challenge. How do all these companies that have all this technology and can build speakers, they probably have so much more resources. I was just learning how to build speakers, but I think building it here in the United States, and I think that when I got down to it, it was just using the quality components was what was really a trick in terms of that. Um,
Yeah,
completely.
I think you've kind of hit that balance just right. As a matter of fact, it seems like everybody. Well, I had a interesting experience. I went to one of my customers is Tom Elmhurst in New York, works at Electric Lady. There's a big pair of expensive ATCs and a pair of Oratones, and that's his system. That's what he uses. Those two speakers everywhere he goes. He has those two. So I took a pair of yours in there, and I said, "Hey, would you try these instead of your original Oratones and tell me what you think?" And um, 2 weeks later, I talked to them and asked them how it went, and they said they sound just like his originals, except maybe a tad more low end. So we'd like to keep these.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's been my reaction with most people.
yeah. And a lot of the low end too. A lot of people don't understand is the speakers now. I think that's been, there's 7 different variations of the 5Cs of the year just for certain components. My grandfather couldn't find certain things, so not every old 5C sounds alike that you'll find out there. And two, the speakers from 40 years ago don't sound like, I think it's hard for people to understand. If you put one of our new speakers against what the 5C actually sounded like 4 years ago, it'd be much closer. A lot of the cones stiffen up over time. They don't sound, they lose a lot of
Same.
low end response over time. So they don't sound like they did 40 years ago
Yeah.
like they do now. So, and with Tom, yeah, I was up in New York City last time, and I went and visited Electric Lady Studios, and he admitted to me, he was like, yeah, actually, I use the 5Cs with, he has the ATCs up there and the Auratone 5Cs. And he said, I use these more than I like to admit. He said about 60% of the time. So it was definitely an eye opener.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Oratone's made a big mark on the industry, and it's really cool to see you out there running. You have a new product. You developed an amplifier.
Yeah, the A230. So you can see it there.
Oh, that's cool. And um, it, that is that made in China? Is that
No, we make those in Europe.
That's cool. And so having a little amp that goes with the Oratones enables you to have a kind of a complete system, I suppose, right? You can buy it as a bundle.
Yeah, we basically, developed the A230 just to be, because of course people are buying the 5Cs and we're passive and it's hard. There's so many amps people were buying different types, and we made this one specifically for old and new 5Cs. And that way you're getting the frequency response and the sound you need, and not buying some off the shelf or something old somewhere, and it keeps the quality consistent.
What are those pictures I see up on the wall there? Was it a Tech Award logo, it looks like?
Yeah, this is a tech back from the actual original, the Tech Award. We got inducted to the Hall of Fame. It had been 4 years ago, I believe now. So that was when we got inducted to the Hall of Fame. This is Quincy Jones back in the day, actually holding a pair of 5Cs. Then my granddad got a photo of him. So that's
That's
really cool.
cool.
And this is the actual Tech Award from the AMP
Yeah,
that we
that's cool.
received in
That's
January.
cool.
So yeah, a lot of history with the brand, and I got all these old photos and stuff. It's definitely cool digging
Yeah.
in.
Well, it's great that you've been able to build Oratone back up again. It's doing very well. I know a lot of people are paying attention. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today, Alex. It was really cool to kind of get a little insight.
Awesome, and thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks for all
Yeah,
the
you
support.
bet. So this is Brad Lindy from TransAudio and Oratones signing off for now.
Take care, guys.